say hi. You start a new business. How can I bring in my customers? More specifically, how can I bring customers to my website or to my platform? I think it's a really important discussion. It starts with a couple of different things. The first thing is, as we talked about earlier, having a proper website. Secondly, having a proper storefront, because it doesn't matter if you bring the customers, if they can't buy anything from you when they want to support your business or when you're supporting them in the right way and they really like your product or service. The third thing is having communication lines open. For some of y'all, that's going to be social media, and you pick your favorite social media platform and you master it. For other folks, it's going to be seeing people in person. That means hanging out in the community. That means maybe doing public speaking or being involved in events. For other folks, like myself, and I lean more towards this, the third way is building your own communication channels. Again, in a meta way, bringyourworth.tv is an opportunity for me to connect with y'all who are my potential and current customers, clients, and community. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily selling to y'all per se, but it does mean I have a clear line of communication where if I have a new book that comes out, if I have a new program, if I'm going to be speaking at a TED somewhere, then I have a way to directly communicate with y'all. For me, I do this three different ways. Number one, which is more passive, is my website. We mentioned that earlier in the program, damonbrown.net. That's headquarters. You don't need to be anywhere else. Like that's the vibes, right? Number two is through bringyourworth.tv. And that's, again, weekly or multiple, however you say it, multiple times a week. I don't think there's a word for that. Multiple times a week show, depending on the show and or depending on the week, right? And so I have a way to communicate with y'all directly. If I had a new book coming out, a new product coming out, new app I was launching, I was going to be keynoting somewhere, then there's 18,000 plus of y'all as us of us talking live right now. So that there's no there's no billionaire oligarch that could say, oh no, he can't talk to them because this is a platform that, as much as possible when it comes to video, I own, right? So that's number two. Number three, newsletter. Join Damon.me. I've had that newsletter for decades at this point. Sounds weird to say, but that's about right. And then consistently for the past decade or so. But I've had it for multiple decades at this point. Back when it was a little thing where I was just catching up on people, post grad school, I think, is when I started the newsletter. And it's grown, of course, from there. Again, it's at joindamon.me. There's a reason why everybody and their mama has a Substack. I don't care for a Substack, but because they have a lot of issues going on, but you can't argue with the movement. That's why everybody has a Substack. That's why everybody has a newsletter. That's why I grew up in the era technology wise when there were blogs. Seems like blogs are back. And that's why me and a lot of my colleagues at this point have some type of video or some type of podcast. There's a reason for that. We can actually own our pipeline, not as far as getting y'all to buy things, but own the pipeline as far as how we communicate and connect with y'all. There's power in that. There's strength in that. Sorry, they're doing construction at my building right now. Hopefully, that noise isn't too loud. But there's a whole different level right now. There's a whole new level of you being able to communicate directly with your audience. It would be a shame if you didn't take advantage of that. My favorite way to do that, aside from seeing y'all, your lovely faces virtually or otherwise once a week, is having a newsletter. My favorite newsletter platform provider right now is Beehive. I'm actually rocking a Beehive shirt. You can actually get it at the link. It's built for pioneers. First, I'm going to go ahead and show you my newsletter, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you about Beehive. In fact, let's flip it and reverse it. Shout out to Missy. I'm actually going to show you about Beehive first, and then we'll go ahead and go from there because it might be easier to to show you the abstract and then to illustrate. All right. And then you can see the deal right at the top. So if you go to my preferred partner link right there, this is, yeah, we're fine with cookies. This is Beehive. And of course, again, you get the nice little discount and we'll be supporting the show if you do that. A lot of people rock with Beehive. I like Beehive for several different reasons. Number one, in fact, let's just focus on two reasons. Number one is the ease of use. Again, if you heard me correctly, had the newsletter for about 20 plus years. I've worked with so many different platforms. I remember starting my newsletter when it was just me emailing people and then sending a BCC, in other words, a blind carbon copy. So other people, I wouldn't just spam the whole thing. Other people wouldn't know other people's email addresses and who was signed up to it. So I've seen it evolve literally over the past 2 decades. Some of the platforms that I've worked with have gotten so complicated and having to essentially learn WordPress and the tagging and all this stuff. What I loved about Beehive, I started working with them probably about a year and a half ago. If you join my newsletter at joindamon.me, you saw when that transition happened. And what I loved about them, number one, is the ease of use. It was similar to me writing a blog post circa 2006. You click on it, you type in what you have to say. You want images? Great. Plop an image in there. So the ease of use was ridiculously high. Love it, love it, love it. If I have a newsletter idea in the middle of the night, which sometimes happens, or after I get my kids to bed, I'm like, oh, I need to write about that for the weekly newsletter. And I can go ahead and do it, write it out. I'm sleeping 20 minutes. Not a big deal. So the ease of use is super, super high. They now have templates and other things that you can plop in that they didn't even have before when I first started working with them. The second part, and I like this part, is monetize. Monetize, monetize, monetize. When you build your newsletter within, in my case, it was within, I do have a weekly newsletter, I'd say within 4 to 6 cycles, then there were potential advertisers that wanted to be in my newsletter. And you can get a pay per click or a pay per view. A pay per click means that someone clicks on it and then the advertiser will pay you per click. Pay per view, which sometimes has a different term to it, is basically how many people will actually open the newsletter and see the ad. So if you had 10,000 people that were rocking with your newsletter and 800 people open the newsletter, then you get paid for those 800 people. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So this allows you to actually generate revenue based on you having your newsletter. And to be frank, we'll talk about this a little bit later on in the series with upcoming episodes. When you're starting your business, you want to be as frugal as possible. You don't need to get your business cards yet if you're not going to be giving your business cards to anybody. You'll need to get an expensive website, URL, as far as getting Damon.com. Do you know how expensive Damon.com is? I don't even want to talk about it. There's a reason why it's DamonBrown.net, because I'd rather spend my money on my family or on growing my business. I'm not going to spend my money just on the URL. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if there's opportunities for you to have um, revenue coming in that will help you supplement you starting your business, you darn sure should take advantage of it. There's a lot of things I like about Beehive. As I mentioned at the top, you can go to my special link, and then you can get a discount for the first few months that you do it, as well as a complimentary 30-day trial. These change over time, so be sure and click on the link to see what the current offer is. But if you're watching it live, it is live. And shout out to Beehive. I appreciate y'all's support. So when it comes to my actual newsletter, then when I show y'all, now this is joindamon.me. This is my front page for Beehive. So if you go to joindamon.me, you'll see that. And then you'll see I usually do a GIF and all these different things. And you see it's weekly. and it goes all the way back. And if we go to today's newsletter for Time to Get Started, then in partnership with 1440, shout out to them as far as sponsoring this week's newsletter. And then me talking about, as I talked about, the perfect time. And then in a meta way, and of course, a suggestion to subscribe. And of course, there's the video that we're doing right now, the live discussion we're having right now. But it's a really good way to connect with your audience because it allows you to connect with folks in ways that you actually own and that are more intimate than social media. Like some stuff I talk about in my newsletter, I wouldn't post that on social media, but there's a trusted relationship with y'all. I think it was Jenny Blake, shout out to Jenny, with her excellent book, Pivot, as well as I think she had a book that came out recently about managing your time. Shout out to her. But I remember her talking on her podcast, Pivot. I think she might have changed the name of it, but with her podcast, long running podcast. And she talked about someone catching a random video or a social media post. It would be like you walking down Fifth Avenue and kind of browsing the stores, kind of seeing what's happening. We called it window shopping back in the day. Subscribing to a newsletter or something as intimate as that, or signing up for like coaching, that's when, like back in the day, you would get the catalog coming. You get the J. Crew, you get the Victoria's Secret, you get the LL Bean, you get the, I don't know if FUBU had it, but the FUBU joint. Like you're committed. It's like being a subscriber to this channel. Like you're committed in a different type of way. That's what the newsletter is. It's basically saying the folks that subscribe to my newsletter, I can tell by their responses, they're like, no, I rock with you, Damon. And I want to see the next thing that you do. And I want to support whatever product you're doing next. I want to see it. I want to be the first to see it. When I'm launching a new app, I'm going to be keynoting somewhere. I got a new episode coming up that I haven't mentioned to people online yet or whatever. A new book coming out. They're getting the heads up first, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then we got to talk about, again, audience, how to grow an audience if you have none. If you're starting a business and it's in a direction that you don't normally go in, or you're doing it in a different way, perhaps you're a teacher working for a school district, and then you're doing an online course. Perhaps you're a journalist, and then suddenly you're an author. If there's these pivots, again, shout out again to Jenny, if there's these pivots, sometimes some of that audience comes with you. I've been a longtime author, a bestseller. Some of y'all came from when I was doing books. But when I started doing video, it was like audience building all over again. This gets into audience building, into the moves you can be making, and that audience eventually, if you're building a business, become perhaps your earliest customers, your earliest supporters. Those folks are going to get the word out that you should check out what's happening. When it comes to building an audience, what are you most nervous about? Where do you think you might be struggling as far as starting your new business? Is that part of the reason why you haven't started your business yet? There's usually reasons, again, I'm a business coach, so there's usually reasons why we haven't started yet. Is building an audience part of it? Are you not sure the audience is there, or are you not sure how to reach them? Love to hear from y'all in the comments. I'm entrepreneurial coach Damon Brown, here to help you as a side hustler, solopreneur, otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. This is Bring Your Worth Wednesdays live at 1:11 p.m. Standard Time, Vegas time. You can subscribe below. Today, we're talking about finally starting your business. Live Q&A. Hopefully it gave you some insight as far as when it comes to the how much you should be spending on social media. One, number two, how much energy you should be putting towards having your website and your storefront, and how important that is, how pivotal that is. And number two, figure out exactly how to build that audience. And hopefully the links helped you out with that. Up next, I forgot to put the comment in there. I told you it was live. Up next, make your product real. Yes, you have the storefront. Cool. Yes, you got your website. You got your lead pages. Shout out to lead pages. Cool. You got all that going. Great. If you happen to miss it, just rewind and check it out. It's like, okay, now what do I do? How do I make this thing actually happen? Because I need to have something to ship. We're going to be talking about that next. If you're watching this live, then it'll be the next episode coming up. If you're watching the replay, just hold tight. And we're about to get into it right now. Until next time, or until the next episode in a few minutes, remember, you can always bring your worth. You can always build from now. Take care of yourselves and others.